At Behind the Scenes, our mission is simple: to educate, encourage, and grow the game we love. The opinions shared on this podcast are our own, shaped by our experiences as players and coaches. They are never intended to criticize or target any individual, team, coach, or family. Baseball is a challenging game, and we respect everyone who dedicates themselves to it. If our conversations spark new ideas, healthy discussion, or help even one athlete grow, then we've accomplished our mission. Welcome to Behind the Scenes.
Let's start with travel baseball because it's probably the biggest topic we get asked about as coaches. Every year, families spend thousands of dollars on teams, tournaments, showcases, lessons, equipment, with the hope of helping their player reach the next level.
It's so much different
Oh,
now
yeah,
than we were coming up.
for sure.
This is
So maybe that's where we start. Maybe you give your background on, when you started playing travel baseball, kind of your experiences as a travel ball player.
yeah. For me, when I started pretty young, I did start pretty young, but I just think one, the coach for that travel team was also the assistant coach for my brother's high school team,
Okay.
and his high school coach also ran a lot of our practices.
Okay.
So like we had like good people running our practices, all that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
for us, it was like it wasn't so much as centered around playing every weekend.
Mhm.
Like we would practice 2, 3 times a week,
Yeah.
and then we play. You know what I'm saying? And so
Right.
there wasn't as many teams as there are now. That was probably like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And like all the guys on the team, I already knew most of them. Most of us ended up staying together and playing in high school together.
Yeah.
And like that was just how it was. Like we
Right.
all started at a young age. There were only a few teams. You might play those same teams almost every weekend.
Yeah.
So this is what
What
it was.
what would you say um what would you say travel baseball helped you with the most?
Uh, Honestly, when I got older, it definitely humbled me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it made me realize I was not as good as I thought I was.
Hmm.
And I had a long ways to go
Yeah.
if I wanted to play at the level I wanted to play at.
Right.
And I learned that out real quick. As soon as we got to the big leagues,
Hmm.
we made that transition. That was like how it was for me.
Yeah.
Because I was always like a smaller kid.
Right.
So, but I was always a smaller kid. And once we got to the normal size field, it's like I just couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
So I found myself not even playing at one point in time. And then
Really.
first time I tried out for, which I played for the Dirtbags.
Hmm.
First time I tried out for the Dirtbags, my sophomore year, I didn't even make the team.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was
Wow.
rough to start with.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that you shared that because I think we as coaches, we run into, whether it's lessons or maybe even people we know or that we've heard of, we run into a lot of people running into that same issue to where they hit a wall earlier in their career, whether it's them not making the team or them not playing much, and then they look to go do something else. Baseball is, with respect to the other sports, in my humble opinion, the hardest sport you can play. You can put work in for months and it might not show up till the next year.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's tough. Um, but I think that's the most rewarding part to me about travel baseball is it teaches you that grind.
Yeah,
Like you'll go, whether you're playing in Georgia, North Carolina, doesn't matter, but you'll show up to a tournament, you have a 8 a.m. game, and you might not play again until 5 o'clock.
mhm.
So that's the time that you build the camaraderie with your teammates and, maybe picking up, watching other games, seeing other things that you can pick up from other players, whatever the things may be. Um, my travel ball experience, I would say I started pretty young too. I think I was 7 or 8 years old. Um, when I started Coach Pitch, and I was a GBC kid. So, my dad, Rod Gorham, he coached at GBC. We also had Carmine Pagano. So I was lucky to have those two guys to kind of, show me the way, especially as a young athlete, trying to make any success out of myself on the baseball field. But yeah, it's if you're asking me now, I'm sure my response is much more mature and much more appreciative of travel baseball. But like when you play travel baseball at like 15, 16 years old, a lot of the times when your friends were hanging out on the weekends, you had to go play a tournament.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing that people don't realize. Like it's a sacrifice. It's fun, but it's a sacrifice. If you're not willing to sacrifice, hanging out, spending time with your friends, or going to the movies, it might not be the best investment for you. Um, but I know you had some good players on your team as well. How many guys your last year in travel ball? How many guys on your travel ball team went on to play at the next level?
Um, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure everybody on the roster did.
So big names, you, Landon. Who else? Who else on that team?
That travel team, so me, Landon, Saychek, um, Corey Wood,
Okay.
Austin Beck, DJ Daniels, Spencer Brickhouse,
Mm-hmm.
Pierre Meredith,
Jeez.
David Harrison. Uh, there was a bunch of guys.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we were pretty. Kyle, I don't know how I forgot Kyle.
Oh, Kyle played on your team?
Yes, Kyle was on my team.
That's funny. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
we were kind of loaded.
So about everybody for your team. That's pretty good. I think we ended up having 15 kids on the team our last year. But that was the year we actually switched over organizations because GBC wasn't hosting an older team. So we played with the Carolina Cubs.
Okay.
And so I think they already had about 6, and we added about 6 or 7. And I think, funny enough, all but one played college baseball, and that one that didn't, he didn't want to play college baseball at all. So he just didn't. He went to school.
Yeah.
But I think that's another thing, when you're talking about and discussing travel baseball, the biggest misconception, I think, from a parent standpoint is, oh, such and such has had 15 commits on that team. If I put my kid on that team, he's definitely going to get committed. And it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah.
Like it helps, what I'm saying? It helps if you're with an organization that has a good reputation, because you might run into a coach that is like, okay, I recruited a kid off of that team or from that organization. I'm going to see what they have.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like they're coming to see the players.
Yeah.
They're not coming to see what's on the front of your jersey.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care what color it is. If you got all creams, like none of that stuff really matters. It's cool, but that's not what's going to get people a scholarship.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest misconception, because you'll have kids who are probably like maybe middle of the pack that'll join those higher caliber teams just because they think they're going to get seen. And then they get to that point and they finish the summer with less than 10 at bats and less than 10 innings.
Mm-hmm.
Like the biggest thing for travel baseball, in my opinion, is your development. So, what I'm saying? So the most important place you can be is the place that can develop you.
Yeah.
If you're spending X amount of money and you're not practicing, you're not in the weight room, you don't see your team or your coaches till the weekend, you're kind of putting yourself at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. But I was lucky. I was lucky that I had a good organization with straight A's.
Yeah.
Like they made sure they never put you where you should be.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was, they made sure when you got on the team, you were able to compete.
Yeah.
And then we also had workouts. So like especially once I got older, all of our workouts were in Burlington.
Okay.
We come in not only hit and grow, but we had weight stuff, and all that stuff, and we had
Yeah.
stuff that we always got feedback and stuff that we needed to work on. Like whenever we went home, they would keep in touch. So Andy always did a great job with that. And then, like for myself, I definitely came in not prepared.
Yeah.
Like that was how it was. Like I wasn't ready.
Right.
Like once I got to, especially those older years, 10th, 11th grade, where I saw some of my teammates and some of my friends start getting offers, and I'm like, all right, now I'm starting to get a little late. I ain't heard nothing from nobody. What's going on? Nah, I'll just say like it definitely everybody's timeline is different,
For sure.
and I think a lot of parents now they feel like their kids have to be somewhere by a certain time,
Mhm.
and that's just not always the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna have your kids that are 13, 14 years old. That you might be like, okay, like this kid's definitely he might go play somewhere,
Yeah.
but you're also gonna see those kids at the same age. It might be average, but by the time they get 15, 16, the work they put in, where they go play
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they just develop over that amount of time, they might not see their games until they get to their junior, senior.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good point. That's a definitely a good point because it's and it's tough, as a competitor, you're always comparing yourself to the next person. You know what I'm saying? You're seeing what that person does and it's like, okay, well, my body type matches his. Why can't I get the results that he's getting?
Yeah.
And it's to your point, everybody progresses at their own stage. You know what I'm saying? You have late bloomers, you have guys that have, may have been the same size since they were 14 and haven't progressed much. It just that's the two sides that you kind of have, and everything else kind of falls into the middle. Um, but yeah, touch. So when you were going through your workouts with travel baseball and your practices, kind of talk about what you guys went through with that.
So mostly it was just like weekend stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We come up and they have some kind of workout plan for us. We go through that, just kind of get an idea where everybody was street wise. We hit in front of a lot of the coaches that were coaching their things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't remember. I'm sure there probably were college coaches there, but I don't really remember. And then so we do all that, and then we would throw with our pins.
Yeah.
And then the times where we didn't go there, we would meet at a field somewhere and go through. And we go through pro style workouts at 13, 14 years old. Just kind of getting that
Mm-hmm.
understanding pretty soon of how things would be once you got older.
Yeah.
And like the things that college coaches look for,
Right.
which we can go on about that. It's not just physical ability and what you can do as far as hitting the ball, throwing the ball, but how you carry yourself,
Yep.
and type of stuff. So
Yep.
they did a great job, like getting us prepared for all that stuff.
Okay. So we had similar experiences then. We definitely, I think the only thing we practiced during the week, so probably the same amount of days, but just during the week. We would practice at a place called Gate City. So there was a church in Gate City, Greensboro, and they had a baseball field there. So we drove up there one day, and we basically talked to the people at the church. It was like, hey, if we upkeep this field, can we practice there? Like, yeah, no problem. So we ended up building bullpens, stuff like that, made it look nice. But we practiced there since 11 years old to 15. We probably practiced there twice a week, every week.
Okay.
And it was long. Like we get out there at 4 o'clock, we probably wouldn't leave till like 8:30. So, that kind of goes to show. I think it's I think travel baseball is kind of shied away from that. Not only practice, but having long practices. Like, because you'll hear a lot of teams, like, what do you do for practice? Oh, we get stretched, we do our form running, we take ground balls, and then we hit and we go home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I don't know if that's enough for every single player.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about the 1%, yeah, maybe they can get by with it for a week or two, but there's got to be drill work.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be drill work, situations, things of that nature. Like, you have to be incorporating that stuff into your practices.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. Which even my travel teams I played on when I was like a kid, with
Yeah.
just kids around Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
From then, even through high school when I played with their bags, like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our practices, like you said, were drill work and situational skills.
Yep.
And a lot of times our BP would be situational BP,
Mm-hmm.
or we go live with a coach drawing and just play it like a live game.
Yeah.
But like you said, I think a lot of teams now do shy away from that stuff, and I think it ends up hurting kids because they get in games and you got crowd, you got lot of different energy compared to
Mm-hmm.
when you're in practice and nobody out there. And I think the game just speeds up on some of the kids.
It does. It definitely does. Especially if you're not practicing and getting your work in,
Yeah,
like outside of the games, yeah, it's gonna eat you alive.
yeah.
And
And
that's the toughest thing.
yeah, for sure. Better anybody is like the best kids at each age group. The kids that are the best are the ones that can slow the game down.
Yep.
When the game slows down for you, that is when that's when it's most fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you just start to see kids start to separate themselves.
Yeah. How do you feel about these kids traveling, to Florida, Georgia, across the country at like 12 or 13?
And, uh, me personally, I think that stuff should kind of wait till they're older.
Okay.
I don't know, man. I just 12 and 13 years old, like I'm not thinking about flying on a plane to go play. And you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just trying to go play, have some fun.
Yep.
What are we doing after?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
what little fun part can we go to after the game?
Right.
Beat somebody thinking nothing,
Yep.
or whose room we hanging out in. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
I think when you're that young, I think nowadays when kids get exposed to that stuff, I think the fun of it can get drained out really quick.
For sure.
And I think that's when you see most kids start pulling away from sports
Yep.
in general.
Yep.
It's like when the fun starts to go away, that's when you start having fun.
Yeah.
We've
Absolutely.
all had that feeling at some point,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, man, they're that young. I just think learning the game the right way, playing the right way,
Yep.
learn how to play hard.
Yep.
I think those are some of the key components that they should really focus on. Not
Yeah.
necessarily, I want to make this national team at 12 years old. I mean,
Yeah.
what to have.
Yeah. For sure.
So I just think those kids should just enjoy the game.
Yeah. I agree. And it's different. Like, it's different if let's say you play 5 or 6 tournaments. It's different if you have 4 of them within the area or within a, drivable distance. And then you take that one big trip.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's kind of how we were when we were younger. Like, you would play in a lot of the local tournaments to qualify for those bigger tournaments. And then if you won it or if you placed high, you got the invitation. And that was always an honor.
Yeah.
I think, with so many teams traveling all over the country, it kind of takes away, to your point, it kind of takes away that competitive drive to get after it for that big tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because every tournament is the big tournament. I mean, then it just relies on your preparation.
Yeah.
You don't really have, as a young kid, you don't really have that golden tournament to look forward to type of thing. And that's not to say you should play them any differently, but it was just nice to have that. Oh, we're playing in Raleigh this weekend. If we do well, we get an invitation to Florida.
Yeah.
Like that stuff was exciting back in the day, and I feel like it's just so normalized now to where a Florida trip is probably going to be a lot of teams' first trip.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to provide an understanding to the audience, it's not that we're knocking the long distance trips.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more of, you know, when you're 12, 13, any age below that, your main focus should be developing.
Yes.
Like
I agree.
you don't need to go to Alabama or Georgia to develop. You know what I'm saying? Like it's cool. Like when you go to those tournaments, yeah, you're playing some of the top teams in the country. Like that's always an honor to compete against teams like that. But if you can't beat the teams in your backyard, there's no reason for you to be traveling across, the border just to say you did it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all it is at that point.
Yeah. For sure. And then when that happens, when you put those kids in those situations and run up into something,
Yep.
it's a little different.
Oh yeah.
Their confidence is goes.
Yep.
And then that's the last thing you want for a kid, especially at that
Absolutely.
age. Like
Absolutely.
them being confident and keeping it fun, that should be your main goal. While, like you said, developing.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for our parents out there, we say this with respect and love from two hosts that don't have kids at the moment, but hope to have kids in the future and have kind of been through the travel ball ranks. Just kind of helping you guys to understand like what good development looks like. The most important thing is making sure you're getting your money's worth out of travel ball. And a lot of that is going to come from the development that you guys put in or that the coach puts in for the players each week. Whether it's some remote program that they can do on their own because they all can't get together, or it's scheduled practices they can run through. Those things are very important. Having a practice schedule, a consistent practice schedule. If you're of age to be in the weight room, so probably 14, 15 years old is probably around when they start getting serious in the weight room or getting started. Having a weight program, staying on top of nutrition, like those things are very important when you're investing into travel baseball. Because one thing that, we often don't think about or don't get to see is there is always a kid somewhere working. And, some teams that you run into may have the luxury of being together every single day. So now your kid has to compete with um, another team who has been on the field with each other 4 or 5 times that week already when they've only got 2 days of practice in at best. So really finding a good organization that offers development and offers your kid a position or gives your kid an opportunity to be seen when they get of age to be seen.
I think the development, like you talking about, looking at an organization or who you want your kid to play for,
Yep.
not only on the field, right? Highly important. Probably most important. But I think another thing that parents can sometimes overlook is how coaches are with, like if I had a kid, I wouldn't want a coach who is just gonna promise my child this. You know what I'm saying? Like I want a coach to get on my child if he's messing up. Because I feel like that's the only way he's gonna learn, because I can't always I'm not gonna always be there watching over my child, making sure
Yep.
he's doing the right thing.
Yep.
Right? As a coach, I feel like you have to take that responsibility to not only coach them as a baseball player, but to coach them up another way mentally.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I think sometimes you see some people, they get kids and it's just like, oh, this dude just playing on my team.
Yep.
They don't know anything about the child.
Yep.
They don't know how the child's gonna react to failure. They don't know how to get that child back when they do fail.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can't coach. If I have 3 different kids, I can't coach them all the same way.
Yep.
They're all
Absolutely.
gonna respond differently to me hitting
Absolutely.
them. They're gonna respond differently to adversity, all that stuff. So I
Yeah.
just feel like good development also comes in that where you have to be able to teach, coach people differently based off of
Yep.
this. I think sometimes
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think you said that great. That's a big part of the travel ball landscape, or it should be. You run into that, and it's not to say the coaches are going to be perfect by any means, but you want to have a coach that cares about your child's future, no matter what that future is. Their future can be, you working for a Fortune 500 company and you're completely done with baseball or doing whatever. Like the goal is to not only to coach them on the field, but to teach them how to be better, functioning members of society as they get older. And if you're a part of an organization or if you're a part of a team and you don't feel like that coach does that, respectfully, it might be a time for you to move on.
that's true.
Parents, another big thing is giving your child grace. That is huge. If he goes over 4, I'm not saying you go out and get him ice cream, but that's probably not a good time to just, you know, tell them the negatives of what they did. Because if you're going over 4, you probably know, you probably have a good indication of what you could have corrected throughout the course of the game. But, also understanding like baseball is a hard game. The Hall of Famers, the guys that we praise in this game, succeed for 30% of their career. So that means you're probably going to have a couple tournaments where little Johnny is below that 30%. That's just what it is. Like baseball is tough. It's going to beat you up if you allow it. And I think the biggest thing for parents is, always being that person of comfort, when they feel like or when they feel too scared to go to other teammates or other coaches. Like if they're already scared of talking to their teammates or talking to their coaches, and then they feel like they can't talk to you, then you're probably gonna have a child that eventually ends up phasing out of baseball.
We always talk about the kids, right? We always talk about how important it is for kids to be
Yep.
coaching to playing another position,
Mhm.
doing something that might not feel comfortable.
Yep.
Just as important as that is, parents got to be just as open. Parents got to be just as coachable
Yep.
because at 12 years old, I personally don't believe your son is just fish.
Yes, I agree.
Like, it's okay if your child is playing right there.
Yep.
There's this misconception that the outfield is where all the bad players are put.
Right.
Somebody got to catch the ball.
Exactly.
Like, if your child can catch the ball, if ain't got nobody else that can catch it,
Yep.
and they hit the ball in the outfield, your child might get put out.
Exactly.
Like that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Some of the
Yeah.
greatest athletes in the MLB are in the outfield.
Yep.
That's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, I'm not just gonna hold your kid to shortstop or first base. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Let's move around. Let's switch some things up. Let's let them be an athlete first
Yep.
before he's a baseball player.
Yep.
And like you said, just giving their kids grace. I know it's kind of be can be a little sensitive. I don't think that some ways, but
Yep.
you're gonna mess up. You're gonna have weekends where they're not back to it.
Yep.
That's okay. You tell them, like you said, you tell them the things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, if don't play again, don't get another at that.
Yep.
Them going 0 for 4 on a Saturday in Myrtle Beach at 13 years old
Yep.
is not going to deter Vanderbilt away. Because I doubt Vanderbilt's there.
Right.
I'm sorry. I doubt Florida State's there.
Yeah.
So let's relax a little bit. Let
Yeah.
him have fun first.
Exactly.
When we
That's,
coach him up after,
hmm
they'll be all right.
Yeah. Especially, at those young ages, like that's when baseball's got to be the most fun because the older you get, and you can speak to it because you were afforded the opportunity not only because you worked for it, but because you deserved it. But you were afforded the opportunity to play pro baseball, so that's really a job. Like as you get older, it becomes a job. It's not so much of we show up on the weekends and then whichever parent signed up to bring the juice boxes, we're gonna have juice boxes after the game. Like it doesn't really it doesn't really work like that once you get up to the high school level and beyond. You know what I'm saying? You have to see it from not only a baseball perspective, but from the coach's perspective. Like your coach should be putting the best nine out there every time. And if a part of that best nine is your son playing outfield, well, then your son's one of the best outfielders on the team. That's not a knock to what they're doing or what they can provide for the team. Like, and the other part of playing multiple positions, you start to understand the game a little better. You know what I'm saying? You start to understand, okay, I'm playing shortstop. Where do I need to be if there's a runner on second base and the ball hit the outfield? Okay, I got to be at third base. My third baseman's the cutoff. If the ball's hit the center field, where am I at? I'm at second base because my second baseman should be following the first baseman to first base. My first baseman's going to be the cutoff. Like that stuff, like it sounds like stuff you should understand and know just because you play it, but it's so much more helpful when you're actually put in those positions to understand what's supposed to go on. You know what I'm saying? And another one is like the lineup. I can tell you how many times I've had questions, whether it be high school, travel ball, you know, when I was coaching college baseball, like, why is my son batting in the 7 hole? Why is my son batting in the 9 hole? You're a part of the 9 hitters that we're putting in a lineup. So if that coach felt like you weren't good enough, you probably wouldn't be in the lineup. You know what I'm saying? You're probably not going to be in the lineup. That's just what it is. And I think that, players and parents can kind of get misguided about the position they're in the lineup. Like, traditionally, of course, your leadoff is when you're younger, is probably your fastest guy. When you're older, if you're on a not so good team, then it might be arguably one of your top 2 hitters just because you're trying to give them the most at bats throughout the game. And then as you get to the college level, it's usually a mix of the speed and your on base percentage. Do you get on base a lot? Because that's what we need out of a leadoff. Leadoff has to get on base. He has to set the tone. He has to start the inning the right way. Um, and then you trickle down, you have your 2 hole, which is, could probably be a lead off or is really good with a runner on or moving guys over, whether it be a bunt guy, whatever the case may be. Your 3 and your 4 hole are probably your power hitters, 3 to 5 really, probably your power hitters that more gap to gap are going to rack up your RBIs. And then, your 6 through 9 could be ample amount of things. As a coach, I've moved guys from the 3 to the 7 just to get them into counts that are more favorable for them.
Mm-hmm.
The 7 hole, you're probably going to see fastballs for a majority of your at bat.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 hole, you're probably going to see some junk, at least 50% of your at bats, right? Because you're in a much more dangerous position to get runners in. So it's not always, hey, you should have been better with this. That's why I put you in the 7 hole. It's just more of, okay, we're struggling right now. It happens. Let's move you down to the 7 hole, see if you can get some fastballs early in the count to get that confidence back up and get a feel for your swing. Like those are things that I think parents and players don't really realize when they're assessing the game. It's just more of, oh, my son was hitting 3-hole last weekend. Now he's hitting 7-hole. Well, let me find another team to play with. And it's like, that's probably not the best way to go about it.
You know what I'm saying? Gotta be coachable too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll go back to that.
Yeah. Travel baseball is probably going to be one of our leading topics throughout the week, just because it's I mean, it's at a much bigger stage right now than it was when we were playing and before then. But one thing that we can see, as former players and coaches that are in it, the lack of loyalty could also be a hinder to the success of certain athletes. Like an understanding, not every place is a good fit. That's just what it is. But understanding the difference between an organization not being a good fit and an organization where I just don't agree with the coaching decisions. Like those are two different things. If you got to play, if you're in a part of an organization where the coach mistreats your players or you feel like you're not getting your money's worth, by all means, cool. Do what you got to do. You find another place where you can find a home at. But if you're leaving because your child is not playing a certain position, it's not only does it hurt the players because now they've built a rapport with that team and they're bouncing on each other team to find a fit, but it doesn't look good to college coaches, when they're recruiting guys and they find out, okay, well, Luke's been on 10 different teams in 3 years. Especially with the transfer portal being as wild as it is right now, like that would be a red flag. If I'm in that coach's office, that's a red flag. Because if you're hopping from team to team, you're on 10 different teams in 2 years in travel baseball for an investment that's a lot cheaper than college, then you're not going to treat me any different when you come to my institution.
Yeah.
I think that's a big thing that could be fixed or should be fixed about travel baseball.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I also feel like team success jetted,
Yep.
because not just with baseball, with any team, chemistry you got with the guys around you will put you at your best,
Yep.
and then whether it's one guy or two guys or whatever, like doing things like that, not only for your child, but for a team can be detrimental to both.
Yep.
Especially the individual, I think that, and I hate to put it like this, but I think when kids,
Yes.
like, to them, just,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, if this doesn't work, I know I can just go somewhere else.
Yep.
But like we talked about earlier, not just baseball. That's something that's much bigger than baseball.
Yes.
Like if I'm running away from this team right here because I just don't like it,
Mm-hmm.
when I get to college, when I get to my first job, and I don't like it, well,
Exactly.
they do run away from it.
Exactly.
And sometimes kids and the parents, sometimes we just gotta look in the mirror and say, it's not what other people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?
Yep.
Why can I not find this right fit?
Yeah.
What am I not bringing to the table? Or what do I need to do better? What do I have to work on
Mm-hmm.
in order for me to play? In order for things to start working?
Yep.
I just think that people can get away from those things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head right there when you're talking about, looking in the mirror and really understanding, who you are or where you are at that point. It's great to be a part of travel teams where you have friends that you went to school with or people that you know. But if your competition level or if your level as an athlete doesn't match to your friends or, the people that you're playing with, you might be putting yourself at a disadvantage. You know what I'm saying? It's always great to play with better competition, but if you can't meet that standard, then you're essentially just wasting money to say that you played on this top team with your friends, and it doesn't really amount to the goal that you're trying to reach at the end of the day.
The one thing I really hate, and that's what my mom really like. She really told me that. Like, just because something's hard,
Yeah.
don't like it. That doesn't mean it's not gonna work.
Yep.
Like, been plenty of time where I got to a certain level and there were a lot of people better than me.
Mm-hmm.
But we get so used to being the guy, being one, two, three best players on the team.
Yeah.
The higher you go, the closer that gap's gonna feel. If you can't handle that, you're gonna get weeded out.